I believe it was in 2008. I read a book by Joe Vitale, and Joe Vitale was actually featured in the movie called The Secret. I don't know if y'all watched that. But anyway, I had the pleasure of meeting Joe Vitale actually here in Austin, and it was mind blowing because involved in all these law of attraction manifestation groups and was doing all of the meetups and stuff like that. And so I had the pleasure. My husband and I had the pleasure of meeting Joe Vitale, and it was a pretty interesting evening. A lot of different people there at the party. I mean, it was brief. It was a brief encounter. In fact, I think we took Noah to that. So I don't know if you've heard of the book called Limits, and so Joe Vitale apparently is a therapist, and he had been at an event, and he shares in his book about this prayer. So I wanted to share with you this prayer that I learned through reading his book. I think it was more touching to read the story. I don't remember. Yeah, not really talking to him. I mean, we talked at the party and stuff like that, but um, that's not where I was really impressed by that prayer. I think I got more impressed by it by just everybody that was in the attraction group. So anyway, this prayer, it's so easy, and it is mind-blowing what it does and how I have seen miracles through it. I mean, I normally have my regular prayers, the Lord's Prayer. I do the Lord's Prayer. I pray Our Father. I pray the Hail Mary, and I just have my own regular prayers and cleansings that I do with either the holy water or I will sage on occasion. Although my mom is against it because she's a devout Catholic, but I still for me, I do what honors what I feel that moves me, right? And and now my husband, he's from Cuba, so you have to understand in a communism country, churches were burned, and they don't. He wasn't raised with church. He was raised with another mindset. Um, but so this prayer, I have found that when I have used it, and I just get really quiet, and or basically it has come up for me where when I remember that I need to do the prayer, I'll do it, and it's real short and sweet. It's basically four sentences. But let me tell you why this prayer inspired me. So I don't know if you've ever been to Hawaii, but I went to Hawaii in 2001, and when I went over there, I had won a sales trip, and I'd gone, and I had the opportunity to take my aunt, and I took my aunt with. She and I went, and um we had the most, I mean, to me it was the most magical time. I mean, I did not want to, I cried. I did not want to leave Hawaii. I was just so mesmerized by Hawaii. And when we got back, those memories from Hawaii, I mean, just everything was just so incredible. But so anyway, this prayer, apparently, um Dr. Hewlin, who is a psychologist, apparently was given a stack of cases from the Hawaii State Hospital. They were going to close it down, and they needed to move all these patients, or they were going to, I don't know what they were going to do with them, but they needed to move. They were going to close the state hospital was going to, it was a state hospital. Yeah, they were going to close it down. So he was given the instructions to do what he needed to do because he was the psychologist. And basically, what he did, because I think he was not there physically, I think he was actually in the States on the mainland. So basically, he just did what he knew from his culture, which is Hawaiian. Was he just got every file, and he just started praying the Ho'opono, I'm not even sure if I'm saying this correctly, but it's Ho'oponopono. I'm not sure if it's three ponoponos or if it's two ponoponos, but it's the Ho'oponopono prayer. And he just took each file, and he performed miracles just by praying that prayer over each file. And these were murderers. They were the worst of the worst. They were rapists. They were just, I mean, just horrible. And basically, what he did was he said four sentences. Those patients, or those individuals, were, I mean, they just walked out of there saved. They were healed. He healed them through this prayer. So through the years, I learned this prayer, like I said, in 2008, and through the years, I have used that prayer, and I've used it on myself. I've used it on difficult people, difficult customers, a difficult situation with, one of my family members. And basically all I do is I just say it on that person, and I'll imagine it. I'll imagine that person, and I'll just say those four sentences, and I'll remember it is, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And then I get that person that I'm having a hard time with. It could be a difficult person, difficult customer, or like I said, difficult situation. And I'll just say, I have a tendency to pray in Jesus' name because I was raised, Catholic Christian, and with the Holy Spirit. But with the Ho'oponopono, it's just real easy. I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you. Please forgive me. And you can do it, another round. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And so I'll do that over and over. And then before I know it, I've moved on. I'm already thinking about something else. And I mean, it's a short, quick, sweet prayer. Um, One of the other things that I really have enjoyed experiencing is, manifestation. Greg Braden he's an ex scientist, or I think he worked for NASA, and he has studied um, the Hopi, most Indian tribes worldwide. And he says there's a similar theme around all of them. He's gone to, just all of the tribes all over the world. And he says the ones that it touched him the most, the ones that impacted him the most, where he saw the most effective miracle, was when he went to visit the Hopi Indians in I think it was in New Mexico, if not in Arizona. But he had a friend there, and he climbed up the mountain. The friend had asked him, hey, you want to go, they hadn't had rain in a few months. And the friend said, hey, you want to join me? I'm going to go pray for rain. He says, sure. Yeah. And so Greg was all excited about having this opportunity, to see, his Indian friend, Native American Indian friend, go and pray for rain. So he thought he was going to see like shaman and just all this stuff. And so they hike up the top of the mountain. They get up. Once they get to the very top, he sees his friend, like take his shoes off. And then he just like stepped in, there was a circle of rocks. His friend went in there, and Greg turned around and was just looking at the view. And then as soon as he turned back, he saw his friend look up at the sky. And then he says, all right, man, let's go. And he's like, well, wait a minute. What do you mean? Aren't we going to pray for rain? Are we going to do a ritual or something? And he's like, no, man, what are you talking about? He says, I already prayed for rain. I already prayed rain. He says, what do you mean? And he says, yeah, just let's go. So they went back down the mountain, and a couple of days later, rain came down. And so he asked his friend, like, when we got to the top of the mountain, I thought you were going to do like a ritual or something. He said, no. He says, yeah, I did a prayer. You didn't see me. I just, basically I took my shoes off, and I got in the middle of the rocks, and I looked up at the skies, and I put my hands out like this, and I could feel the rain falling down on my hands, and I felt it through my toes when I was, lifting up the dirt. I was imagining the mud. So Greg Braden said, he says, yeah, I did not pray for rain. I prayed rain. So he said he used his five senses, and he imagined what it would feel like, what it would smell like. And rain came. It took a couple of days, but it came. So I learned that lesson from Greg Braden, and I try to shift myself into this. Anytime I'm feeling anxious about anything, or just, I want to manifest, I remember not to pray for something, or, if I'm, we're working through a situation that's going on, I try not to think about like all of that. And there's another book. I don't know if you've read the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel. So in this Four Agreements book, he talks about, it's not your business to know what that person is thinking of you. If that person is thinking, then you're agreeing to whatever it is that people are saying about you, right? So it's not for us to agree to what people think about us, or even we shouldn't be worried about what people are saying. So I try to remember this, right? And that's really what this boils down to, is that we need to remember not to make agreements, because just because somebody else already believes that we are, whatever it is that we are, like, my father used to get mad at me all the time, and because I like to eat, and he would say, you need to stop, you need to watch your diet, um, and he would say I was fat, and I wasn't fat, you guys. Back in the day when he was watching me, I was not fat. I might have been like maybe 5 pounds, maybe over, like, because I'm 5'2", and my father would say these things to me, and when I would believe him, I would let him get to me, right? And then later on, growing up, going through high school, just through, these groups of friends, when we think certain things are being said about us, then we're agreeing to it. And Don Miguel says it's not for us to agree to that, right? We have to release that. And once we release that, then we're no longer in agreement with their belief system. So everybody has their beliefs, right? And so we cannot allow that agreement, so we have to remember. I have to think of those four principles. I'll come back to it. But anyway, I hope you're having a great weekend. I just wanted to hop on here and share. I'd been wanting to share the Ho'opono prayer, and I know a lot of people say that the manifestations, just doing manifesting whatever doesn't always work. But I mean, I get it. It's just that we might need to do just a little shift. So, and that's what I'm here to remind you, is to make that slight shift. Don't make that agreement. Try to change it, and just remember to do the Ho'opono on yourself. Look at the mirror. Get a mirror and look at yourself, and truly say to yourself those four phrases. Well, I hope this resonated. If any of it did, please put that in the comments. And until next time, thanks for watching. Bye.